Hi, I'm Jill from June Taylor with another innovative solution. Did you ever want to join your quilt blocks that are made quilt as you go? Now we have a perfect way to do that with our Sash and a Dash. It's pre-sewn sashing. It's sold by the yard in 7 colors with matching binding. Open the casing and nest your quilt block inside the casing. And then we're just going to run a top stitch down the edge. Take your next block, open the casing, and just do the same thing. To join rows, we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to run our Sash and a Dash across the row. You can run a beautiful embroidery stitch down here to embellish Sash and a Dash, or you can even put a strip of fabric down here. Here's an example where we added a fabric strip by folding under raw edges and top stitching over Sash and a Dash. And if you like to make t-shirt quilts, go ahead and quilt your blocks and then join them with Sash and a Dash.
Get ready to reel in a school of creative projects using the Go Flying Fish 9-inch finished block and board or bob die. This innovative die is designed to cut an entire 3-color block in just one pass through your cutter, helping you catch fresh new project ideas for this traditional block with ease. This die is on a 6x24 die board, making it compatible with any Go cutter, including the Go Me. Screen printed letters on the die board and specialized dog ears help make this block perfect for quilters of any skill level. Whether used alone or teamed up with a Go Cube or other bob dies, the Go Flying Fish die will help you construct stunning wall hangings, pillows, and throw quilts. Change the whole look of the block by setting it on point using the Go Setting Triangles 9-inch finished die. You'll soon see color is the key to devising a wide variety of designs from traditional to modern. While this block may look complex, the die will open up a sea of creative possibilities for anyone who can sew a 1/4-inch seam. Because at AccuQuilt, we want to help you cut time so you can quilt more. Quilters, today's show is all about cutting and storing your pieces for this AQS AccuQuilt-Along.
Stay tuned and see what we're up to today.
Hi, I'm Pam Hiller, AccuQuilt's cutting expert.
And I'm Erica Botker, AccuQuilt's creativity expert.
All right, welcome to part one of the Go Carolina in My Mind AQS AccuQuilt-Along. Today we're going to show you how to cut and store your pieces. This is an amazing quilt.
This is an amazing quilt. It's an amazing project. Now, in case you missed it, we started this all off with an introduction 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, July 24th. Now, we went over how to choose your fabric for the block, using fat quarters, using scraps. We talked about how we're using the Go North Carolina Star block on board die, but there are traditional rotary cutting directions and templates, and also using the Go Mix and Match 5-inch finish cube, or again, some traditional rotary cutting directions. Those have been provided by AQS because we want everybody to be able to participate in this. And we talked about some ways that you can kind of change this project up. Basically, it is a fantastic way to use up scraps.
Right, and Eric and I are going to talk about some things here today about other ways that you can personalize it, the importance of how we've used the North Carolina Star and the 5-inch cube. All right, quilters, it's beneficial to watch that show before you start on the Go Carolina in My Mind quilt. Right. So be sure to check it out on AccuQuilt's video gallery, our Facebook, and our YouTube pages.
Right.
Then, take a deep breath and read through the entire pattern before you make a single cut. Now, Eric and I, we've worked with Laura Strickland to provide some extra information sheets that are going to help you with that process.
That's right. Now, with Laura's help, she has got some great resources for us. So the first one, they're cutting reference charts, and there's one for the strips that you'll be cutting. You'll be using cutting 2.5-inch, 5.5-inch outer strip, border strip, and 1.5-inch strips. And it's got them numbered. Yes. And it's got all the information. Color. It's great. Don't use this instead of your pattern. Use it along with your pattern.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
The next one is our Go Cube Mix and Match 5-inch block. So this is great because it's going to take us through each shape.
Correct.
And show you how many of each color you need to take. And she's even made a column here so you can check it off after you've got it cut, which is fabulous.
This was so helpful for me because then I could say, oh yes, I need 2 red, and then I just checked it off.
Right. And then they've got this one, which is for the North Carolina Star die. Now this one's divided by pieces as well. So here's our first tip, kind of. If it's a cube, the shape is gonna be numbered.
Yes.
If it's on the bob die, the shapes have letters.
Which is really helpful because then you can learn, oh wait, I'm cutting a shape A, it's from the North Carolina Star die.
Exactly.
And then you created a final sheet, right? It's an Excel spreadsheet, right?
And all 4 of these documents are gonna download along with your pattern when you download it off of AccuQuilt.com. And that last sheet is just gonna take you block by block, or in some cases, like with your cornerstones, unit by unit, with your colors. Right. And with the colors that you need. And that's gonna come into play a little later.
Right. And it's super cool because we're gonna talk here in a minute about those tools, but this is an example of a North Carolina Star block.
Exactly.
And so that Excel sheet said, oh, you're gonna need turquoise and bright blue, and you're gonna need, you know, olive aqua, pale aqua, or whatever the colors are.
Which brings us to, we'll have a hint for you on that as well.
Yeah. So these are valuable tools that will allow you to use your scraps for this project. Now, Eric and I actually went to the fabric store together.
Yes.
We took our sheet, we took our pattern.
Yes.
We cut half-yard cuts.
Right.
And then I cut them in half so each of us had a fat quarter.
Right.
So you could do that as well.
Now, we are going to be using the Go North Carolina star die that is a block on board or a bob die, which means all the shapes that you need to make that North Carolina star block are on the one die board. Now, this is that die, and you'll see how they've got letters for the pieces.
Right.
It's all labeled, and remember, the bob die, they are lettered. The cube, they're going to have numbers. It's going to help you keep track of those pieces.
Right. And we're going to talk about the great shapes that come on here. There's half square triangles, there's quarter square triangles, and these are half rectangle triangles. We're going to talk about these shapes in just a minute and how you want to cut them.
That's right.
Okay.
But we want to talk a little bit about the quilt. So not only does it use our Go North Carolina star die, but it has blocks that are made with the mix and match 5-inch cube, plus elements of the North Carolina star block on board die.
Shall I walk back here and we'll talk about it?
So one of the great things about this quilt is how you can personalize it how you want to. But let's talk about those elements.
So here's the North Carolina star die.
Okay.
And this is made 100% from the North Carolina star die. But Erica, let's talk about this.
So that's one of our cube blocks. And you'll see that there are 4 units made, or blocks made with your cube. And then in the center, you've got what we're calling the block center unit, because those 4 units, those 4 quarter square triangle units and the solid square in the middle are the same in every single block in this quilt.
Right. These change colors, the little triangle and a square shapes that come on the North Carolina star die, but these 4 blocks and the center are all the same. So we're going to tell you to cut and sew those first, but when we get to that,
we're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
But let's go over some more units in this quilt. So we also have sashing between our blocks. We've got little cornerstone quarter square triangle units.
And these are made with?
Those are actually made with the Go North Carolina star die.
Shape E.
Shape E.
Okay.
Then we've got that outer white border.
Oh yes, this border.
Now then there's a stripe border. You can't believe how easy it is to make this. We're going to show you.
It looks so complicated,
It looks so complicated, and it's so simple.
Okay, and then I'm going to come here so Justin
So come there. So in each one, we've got a quarter of a North Carolina star block.
Right.
Plus what I'm calling those spiky units, I'm calling those the border ends, because you actually sew those to the ends of that outer border strip for assembly.
Right. And does this look familiar? Because look, here's that corner section that's here.
And we're just using it.
So the theme is beautiful as it goes through.
It really is. It really is. It's all about color, color placement, and it's just a stunning, stunning project, and uses so few dies you won't believe it.
Yeah, and I love the fact that as this quilt-along, you can, we're going to give you some tips like make all your North Carolina star blocks first and, work on that. So now you could use just the North Carolina star blocks and just make them all different colors. And that would be so fun.
It would be.
Or different blocks from the 5-inch cube.
That's right.
For those corner sections. Now, Erica, everyone is going to ask, can I use a different size cube? What's the answer?
No.
No, you can't. The corner sections finish to 5 inches, so you will need the 5-inch cube blocks that finish to 5 inches.
Right. So again, this is where we have that. Now, I suppose if you really wanted to use the sashing and borders, you could use, transpose those onto different projects.
Oh, you could.
But for this project, because this unit, this quarter unit of the North Carolina star finishes to 5 inches.
Yes.
You need these to finish to 5 inches.
Okay. So that's super important. And tell them what they need to do.
Okay, so here's the deal. Here's how we're all going to make this work together. Be sure you join the AQS Quilting Project Parade Facebook group. Now, Pam and I are members. We'll be posting our blocks, we'll be posting progress, but we're also going to be going on and answering your questions. Now, we anticipate you may have a whole lot of questions with certain parts of this, and go ahead, post them there. We're happy to help you, and you know what? Your fellow quilters will help you too. Now, we hope you will post pictures of your fabrics, of your blocks. Use that hashtag AQSews, or you can even use AccuQuilt-Built so that we can all see your progress.
Normally, Erica, we do a question and answer session as we're sewing and cutting. But this, we have such limited time to show you how to sew the blocks together that we're just going to answer those questions on the Project Parade Facebook page.
Exactly.
Now, consider prepping your fabric with a light starch, such as Starch Savvy, before cutting. There are lots of little quarter square triangles in this project, and I found that it helps with my sewing and pressing down the road, right?
Yes, it does.
Now, our first pro tip is to download the pattern. Remember, you're going to take a breath, and you're going to read the whole thing. And then our first tip is to cut all of your white pieces and separate them by shape. That way you're ready to cut the colored pieces. And you and I found that both very beneficial.
Yes, we did. We did. We were both a little scared to get started cutting, so if you get a little nervous, don't worry about it. Just jump right in. It's going to be fine.
Okay, so then what did we do after we cut our white? Erica, I'll put this here in the middle.
So let's talk fabric. So whether you're using fat quarters like we did or your scraps, we found it really helpful to take just a little snippet out of the selvage edge of our fabric and tape it into our pattern where it says what color it is.
Because the difference between peach batik, well, this one's not too bad, but look at this one. Like these right here, you just want to get all of
They're all, it's going to get confusing. There's so many different colors, which is what makes this project so wonderful. But I found this so helpful, even after cutting it all, and so, you know. You're still going to want that in there. So when you're putting it together, you're going to want that as well. You know, periwinkle and lavender, we've got really close colors here. That's what makes it wonderful. Just go ahead, tape those in. It's going to be really helpful for you.
You're also going to notice there are pastels and there are brights. So keep in mind, again, as you're looking through your scraps, kind of go through and say, oh, red batik. Orange, we didn't use a batik, but we used that color. So it's kind of fun to just go through and kind of figure out your colors.
We didn't actually use batiks. We actually used solids and then a blender print, if you will. And we used all the same line. It just made it a little bit more cohesive for us so that we can show it to you all. But you should feel free to head into your scraps. You'll notice as you go through this that you'll need more of some pieces than others.
Red, we found out we used way more red.
Almost all of our fat quarter of red. So be sure you've got a big scrap of red, and that'll help you.
Okay. Now, you can follow along with Erica and I in our colorway, or you can make it your own. Maybe you just want to make it a variety of purple. That would be super fun, right? Maybe you have a lot of purple scraps or pink or Halloween. Okay? Whatever you decide, start with your stash and your scraps, and then again, follow our lead by taping that piece of scrap fabric to the pattern. Otherwise, you're going to be super confused when you go to cut your pieces.
That's right. Now, if you go to the store, this is what we did when we were in the store. We took them by groups of like 4, labeled them, and pinned them together.
And when I tried to do this, because the difference between plum and purple and ultraviolet, this allowed us to kind of keep track of our pieces. And this was really helpful because when we follow that printout, it says cut 24 magenta. Then I was like, oh, this bundle has magenta. And I tried to keep them in those bundles because then I only have to deal with 3 or 4 pieces at a time instead of trying to go through all of my fabric.
I found it really helpful too.
All right. And I tried also not to put together colors like Kelly green and emerald green and grass. You know, I tried to like throw a pumpkin in there. So that we knew what we were doing.
Okay. Well, before you start cutting out of those colors and your fat quarters or your scraps, the first piece you cut out of each color is going to be the strip of that color. And it's gonna be that 20-inch by either 2.5 or 1.5,
right,
depending on the color.
That's how it makes that cool stripe border.
That's how we make that cool stripe border. So again, it's in the pattern. It's also laid out on the strip cutting chart.
Right.
And I just kept a basket handy.
Yes.
And I'm gonna say just to put, I mean, your brights are going to be 1.5 inch. Your pastels are gonna be the 2.5 inch.
Right.
Just plop them, cut that first,
right,
plop it in your basket, and then go on to cutting your other pieces.
There are so many bright, fun colors in this. And I had tiny little scraps left over because, you know, I used the die and I did subcutting. It looked like a unicorn exploded in my living room. And I had cut all of my strips according to the pattern. And my husband was trying to help me clean up in the living room because, you know, I was trying to do some stuff. And I thought he had thrown already some of my strips away. I know he didn't, it's okay.
Okay.
So just keep those there. Now, once I had cut my strips, then I followed the chart and the pattern to cut all of my pieces for each color.
That's right.
And then I just checked it off the list.
Now, I stacked up pieces by color as I cut them. Pam was much more organized.
Okay.
She used zippy bags labeled with the appropriate number or letter, and then she wrote the colors down as she added them to the bag.
Okay, so here's just a sample, okay? Because we still have some fabric to cut. So, shape D, red, orange, marigold, yellow, lime green, bright blue. Again, I tried not to have lime green and Kelly green and pistachio together. And then I did these. And so when I cut them, then I just threw them in my basket, in my bag, and it kept things really, really well organized. Again, letters for the, what is that dye?
North Carolina Star.
I was going to say glorified nine patch.
I was going to say my favorite glorified nine patch, but this is fast one of my favorite dyes too, because it's really very flexible.
Right. Okay, and then I did the exact same thing for the cube.
Okay.
So here's shape number 1, shape number 2, you know, however many we needed.
Right.
All right, it's really going to help you because then what we did was, to sew our first block, we just followed the color chart, pulled all the pieces for the block.
Right. Once I had all of my pieces cut, I basically built myself a kit for each one of the blocks.
Right.
All right, so let's cut something, Pam.
Let's do.
What are you going to cut first? North Carolina
we're going to cut North Carolina Star because I want to talk about this. All right, so Erica, let's kind of talk about, here's the block. Let's talk about the shapes in the block.
Okay.
So shape A is this corner. These are these big half square triangles.
Right.
You're only going to need 4 for each block. Okay? And then we're going to talk about that in a second. What is F?
F is this square, it's that center square. That center square is designed to be the same fabric in each one of the blocks in a quilt. Now, in the pattern, it refers to this as a Essex linen rainbow sparkle fabric.
Yes, which is so many words.
Is so many words. But what Pam and I found was this lovely Tula pink. It's kind of a chartreuse color.
Yeah.
But we loved it because it's got like all the colors of all the other colors in the quilt sprinkled over it. So that's what we used for that. Right,
and see, look, you can kind of see it better here where those little sprinkles are. So that was our Essex linen.
Right.
Okay. Now B, these come here on the outside, and these triangles, and you're always going to have 2 of the same on the outside and different in the center.
Right.
And this is the outside, this is shape C, and shape G is the corner, okay? Now, we want to talk about these 3 shapes. This is triangle in a rectangle.
Yes.
Okay? And this is, you're going to make, remember, we talked about this. You're going to have these shapes in every single block.
Right.
All 12 of them, okay? So we're gonna show you how to cut those. So what's important to remember about shape C,
So
Erica?
shape C is a directional shape. So you will need to fan fold over this piece. Now, if you're using a solid like we did, we used solid white for that.
We did.
It doesn't matter, but you will want to.
And why do we fan fold
We're
left
going to
and right?
fan fold so that we get left and right pieces.
Right.
Now, this is the directional one on that you have to fan fold.
Right. Everything else.
Everything else is non-directional.
Right.
So here's our D, or as I like to call it, the spike.
Right.
This is not a directional.
No.
So you're going to need, again, to cut those. These go on the sides of it. These are also going to go on the sides of this trio of shapes.
Right.
And then we need lots of these quarter square
So many.
triangles.
So
now
many.
we know these are quarter squares because the long side is to the outside for a tighter lengthwise grain.
Yes. And we actually have a video, if you go to AccuQuilt.com and go to the North Carolina Star die. Erica and I did a video on how to lay out your pieces, and we talk a little bit
Right.
more about that. So if you have a question, but remember this show, like all of our live events, are recorded, so you can always come back and watch them, which actually is going to prove very helpful over the next few weeks as
I
we
think
are
so.
sewing blocks.
I think
okay.
so.
All right, and then we're just going to cut some shape
We're just going to cut those. So you can, as you're going, you know, we said cut your whites first. You're going to need a lot of those.
Yes.
You're going to need pairs of those because there's left and rights. You're going to need a lot of these. So just go ahead, however it makes sense to you the most. But we do recommend starting with those whites first. And then if I only needed like 4 of a color of E, I would just put a piece down there and wait till I had more shapes.
Right. Me too.
More colors so that I could cut them all together.
All right, do you want to cut this? We're going to use our Go
Certainly.
Big. This die can be used on our Go Fabric Cutter or our Go Big electric
Pam, can
fabric
I get
cutter.
you to get that for me?
You bet.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So I'm going to put that there. We're going to cut these. And we could certainly have covered every single one.
We could, and up to 6 layers of cotton in every single pass. And remember, this is a block and board or a bob die, which means all the shapes you need to make one North Carolina Star block is on the die board.
And I'm using our new die catcher over here.
Yes!
If you haven't seen it yet, it's fabulous.
It's going to catch
It's
that
gonna
die.
catch
Check
that
out the
die.
AccuQuilt website.
Okay, here we go. So we're going to give that a little love
Yep.
and slide it off.
Yes. Okay, and then look at this. Shape C, I needed 112 of them. So we're just gonna throw those pieces right
There you
in
go.
here. Okay,
And in you go.
yep. And then shape E, we can put them right here because, here we go, lime green and fuchsia.
These are dear D's, dear.
Oh dear,
Here's
see?
your E's.
See, this is why you're here.
You've
All right,
got
I'll put
another
'em-
E bag over there.
Yes, I will put them away. Okay. Listen, I'm going to put them right here so I don't
It's
lose
a good
them.
plan. It's a
It's
good plan.
So it just really, really helps. And then Erica, you did the same thing that I did when I'm building my block. I just pulled all the pieces out.
Right, right.
All right.
So go ahead and put those. You can also put those then together, like I said, by block by block. Then you can put them together by unit as well, like
Yeah.
for the cornerstones, for those block center pieces as you build those kits. I call them building kits because then the nice thing about that is you can just grab a bag, sew what's in it.
Right. Right.
You're ready to go.
And we did. We've started sewing. Well, we had to sew some so that you could see it. So we've already started cutting and sewing. But I think that that's important to just do one block at a time. Here's
Yep.
our other pro tip. You want to press your seams open.
Yeah, there's a lot of seams going on here. So
Yeah.
now remember, we want you to share your pictures of your progress, of your fabrics, of your cutting, and any questions you might have along the way. Go ahead and put those on the AQS Quilting Project Parade Facebook page. We're excited to see what you're up to. And remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Go at your own pace. This is a summer quilt-along. We want to relax and
yes.
enjoy ourselves, right?
Go down in the basement where it's nice and cool and watch some holiday movies. And
Right.
So
Now, another shape we're going to need a lot of are those
shape number 5.
Shape number 5s, right?
So let's talk about this. So let's show you this block. Yep, you're just great right there. All right. So these are small half square triangles
Yes.
in our 5-inch cubes. So 8 of these sewn together would equal a 5-inch block.
Right. And happily,
I had to think about that.
that right?
No,
Yeah,
that's not.
that's-
2.5, because then we'd put 4
Right,
together,
right.
and then it would be 5-inch
Right.
block. Look at us doing math on the fly.
so, but the nice thing is there are 8 shapes on the die.
Yes.
That's what you were thinking.
Yes,
If there's
there
8
we go.
shapes on the dice, you're going to be able to cut a lot. You're going to need a lot in your, whatever you're using for that Essex linen.
Yes.
For us, it's our Free Spirit Tula Pink fabric.
Yep. And again, we have lots of videos on our website on how to use the cube and to subcut. Basically, you're going to measure from here to here, rough cut. And I'm just going to show you that you can cut up to 6 layers, but you don't have to cut all the shapes on the die board. And just like we could have used a smaller, well, we could have used 2 on the other. Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but our cubes are 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9-inch cubes will all fit through that Go Me fabric cutter, which is super fun.
Okay, so here you go. Here's those
Yep.
shape 5
Fives.
small half square triangles.
Yep. And again, I just have a bag.
Okay. She's
Okay.
going to put those in there.
I am the fuchsia ones because I need them for my next block.
And then the last thing that we're going to show you cutting today is going to be strips. Now, you probably will have started with this because we said to cut your white first. But you know, we need a lot of white strips to be the sashing
Yes.
and that first border. Those are all going to be cut at 2.5 inches. So let's show you how you can cut so many of those in a hurry. So there's a law about how many layers you can cut at a time.
Yes.
It's called the 6-layer law. So what I've done is measure from out just a 1/4 inch on the outside of each blade. Because I've got 3 2.5-inch strips, it's going to measure 7.5 inches across. If I add a 1/4 inch on each side, I'm going to cut an 8-inch width of fabric strip. And I can cut 6 layers, so I'm just going to lay those
Yeah.
all up here.
Erica already cut off the selvage.
I did because I don't need it,
Yeah.
and it's a solid, so it's nothing I'm going to keep.
And show number 4, we're going to keep these. We're just going to save them. And then in show number 4, we're going to show you how to subcut them
Right.
to make the sashing. But while you're cutting, cut all of your pieces. Don't just cut one piece, you know, all the pieces for one block.
It's true. It's true.
It's just so much faster because this is a great chain piecing.
It is. So just have everything cut and ready for you. That's one of our best tips for this project.
And again, that 2.5-inch strip die will work in your Go fabric cutter as well.
But we do have one that'll work in the Go Me.
Yes.
It's just that it'll cut 2 strips instead of 3.
Don't forget
Again,
to
I got
put-
my die catcher over here.
I know. I'm
You
loving
don't
it.
have one yet. Be sure you pick one up.
Don't forget to post your questions in the AQS Project Parade Facebook page.
Okay, so we're gonna slide this off, and you're gonna see I've got,
Good job,
this has
Erica.
given me 9 strips already. That's so quick and easy.
Right.
So go ahead, get them all cut. We said they're gonna get kind of tucked away for later.
Yep.
But we've already got them cut.
All right, be sure to check out the AccuQuilt blog because the lovely Erica will have a post each Wednesday during the Quilt-Along over the summer for the details for that day's event.
That's right. AQS will also be updating their original blog post from our introduction day, so you can go back and check that out as well.
Now, before we end part 1 of our Quilt-Along for the Go Carolina in My Mind, we want to announce the winner of today's giveaway.
Yes, so if you haven't already registered for this event, be sure you go and register by entering your email on our events page at AccuQuilt.com. You just need to do it once, and then you're entered for the drawings. All right, the lucky winner of $100 in AccuQuilt reward points today is, drum roll please, Paulette O. from Cumberland, Maryland.
Congratulations. He's going to love that. Maybe you want to get the North Carolina Star Die if you don't have it. There you
Great
go.
idea.
Hey, quilters, don't forget, we have plenty of special offers available for you on our website.
To get an order in right now, just open a tab in your browser, type in AccuQuilt.com/party. You can see the current deals. Get that order placed.
All right, it's time for Eric and I to go and cut some fabric and sew some fabric and get ready for our next show.
We're sewing ahead. You don't have to sew.
Yes, we have to sew ahead so you can see what to sew. We hope today's show was just what you needed to inspire you to get started and organized for the Go Carolina In My Mind quilt.
See you next time.
Thanks so much for watching. To learn more about your quilting craft, be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for live events every Tuesday and Wednesday. You can check out the events page on the AccuQuilt website for more details on upcoming shows. And if you're looking for even more inspiration, visit our blog for exclusive tutorials filled with tips and tricks. And remember, at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more. Be sure to join me every Wednesday at 12 noon Central Time for AccuQuilt Live. We have tons of fun. Next time, the lovely Eric and I will be sewing some blocks for the Quilt-Along. Hope to see you there.